Well, welcome to Beans, Brews and Bread. Today I'm going to be looking at the heritage varieties that we're going to be growing next year. I've done a previous video showing the medieval veg varieties that we're going to grow. I thought I'd do a quick video just to show you what we've got coming up next year with the heritage varieties. We did a few this year, some good successes and a few failures. A few middling results. We had such good feedback on the heritage varieties that we were growing when we were doing the plot tours that I thought I'd show you what we've got planned for next year. So come and have a look and see what varieties we've got. So the interest in the heritage varieties for me is mostly to do with seed security, keeping old varieties alive in terms of biodiversity and the gene pool for vegetables as wide as possible, so that we don't fall foul of viruses, diseases, pests as they get used to monocultures. Having as wide a variety of plant types or species as possible is only good for unique varieties going, which otherwise would not have the interest in terms of commercial growers. And also it's just great fun. Also allows you to keep and store your own seeds. If you let any varieties go to seed, you can keep the seed for next year. Just store it in as dry conditions as possible, cool as possible. Sow them again as long as they're an open pollinated variety and they're not prone to cross-pollination with other types of the same vegetable. You get different types that are not true to the original parent plant. But most things like peas, beans, tomatoes, lettuces, you name it, if you can keep the seed going, then you can keep your own seed and propagate it for next year. That's the goal. We did that with the Northern Queen lettuce last year. That was a great success. Got loads of seed for that, more than we had when we were given from the heritage seed library, which I'm a member of, and I'll touch on that in a minute. And we've got loads of that lettuce seed left over, so we can keep that variety going. Interestingly, that's not on offer this year in their seed library. So if we hadn't have kept our seed from those plants last year, we would have no Northern Queen lettuce to sow this year. So really important to keep these varieties going, not only for your own interest, but also for nature and biodiversity as well. So if you're interested in the heritage plants that will be growing next year from seed, I'd be grateful if you give the video a thumbs up just to show your appreciation. Go on, it's only there. It's only a couple of just there. See, that's the like button. Just give that one a quick press. That'd be really great. Cheers. And if you do, I can guarantee 175% of extra heritage produce on your plot next year. There are a few sources for heritage seeds. One great resource is the Garden Organic membership scheme, where you can sign up to be a member for a year and you can pay an additional surcharge on top of that membership to allow you access to what they call the heritage seed library. That's released every year around about now, sort of the first week or two in December. They open up the seed library and you can select, as long as with your membership, 6 seed varieties from their list. So I put my order in and that's been delivered today for what I've chosen from the seed library this year. The varieties that are available got the whole breadth of the vegetables that you could grow on your normal allotment plot. So peas, beans, tomatoes, swede, celeriac, chilies, you name it, they've got it in the library. Availability can be quite tricky sometimes. Some things are obviously oversubscribed, and sometimes they just don't have necessarily the same seed on offer every year if they haven't got the seeds donated back into the seed library from their donated growers who do collect the seeds and provide them back into the library. So as I said, for this year, the Northern Queen lettuce isn't available. Actually, very few lettuces seemingly available this year, so I don't know whether, with the incredibly hot weather last year, they struggled to get a good source for seed for this year. Keeping your own seed, as I've done with Northern green lettuce, allows you to be able to carry it on yourself. Another great source for heritage seed are some of the make bigger seed suppliers. I found a good varieties on offer from Dobbies. They've got some good options on, I think, their Rob Smith range. Plenty there, and not necessarily, true heritage varieties per se, but certainly interesting and open pollinated, true types on their own right. So they're a good source as well. But for me, I've particularly enjoyed being a member of the Garden Organic membership scheme. So I'll go and show you now what the varieties I've chosen for this year, and then after that we'll show some of the varieties I've still got left over, which we'll try and grow on the plot for this year. First up from the Heritage Seed Library this year, we've got Organic Pea Blue Prussian. This is the seed packets that they come in, nice and recyclable, good for the environment, obviously, from Garden Organic. Blue Prussian. I put some details up from the seed library if I can, but what interested me about this particular variety was that it was one for keeping the peas, so letting, obviously, go to pod and then letting them mature on the pod and dry as well, so that they can be kept for longer storage. But they can be used as a shelling pea as well, so that was particularly interesting. The next one was the Climbing French Bean Angel. That one particularly interested me because of the colour of the pods. Next one was a broad bean, Clark's Classic. I thought this one would be a good choice based on the description from the seed library, because it would be good for the size and quality of the beans particularly. I don't particularly enjoy a broad bean with the sort of, beanie skin. I like to split them. I know it's getting rid of 50% of the nutritional value by shelling them, but I think the insides on these will be particularly interesting. We'll get those. The other thing as well, I wanted a heritage variety that's different from your Aquadulcia Claudia, your Suttons, all those varieties, simply because if I can keep this one with any saved seed going, then that'll be really interesting in years going forward, because that'll be a bean that's unique and that we can keep on growing on our plot. After that, we've got a organic Swede. Nothing particularly exciting from this, apart from the fact that it's from Scandinavia and it's an interesting variety. Most of the ones are pretty, generic and to type, but it'll be interesting to see if we can grow those. We had no success really with the one that was a normal variety this year, so try and improve on that this year. After that, we've got a sweet pepper called Sheepnose, which is a really interesting variety, which apparently makes quite small but very nice thin-skinned peppers. Apparently the skins are described as being a matte rather than glossy skin, and they're therefore a bit more digestible. So interested to see how that goes. Might only really be able to grow those at home in the small greenhouse rather than on the plot, because we don't obviously have a polytunnel. Still haven't taken that down yet, broken from last year in the storms, but I really should do that, and I'm not really with a view to putting up a new one just yet, simply because of cost and time, etc., and care inside. After that, and something which I saw on another channel, which I think was Mossy Bottom, he'd grown and he was doing a little quiz to try and guess what the enormous vegetable was that he'd grown this year. He called it a Mangle wurzel. I actually saw this in the Heritage Seed Library described as yellow intermediate Mangle. It's a French variety, so I'm not entirely sure it's going to be as big as the ones he's grown, but I was interested because he did say that you could actually make a wine from them. So part of the brews element of the channel might be next year, if we can grow some of these in decent enough quantity, I'll be able to see if we can make a wine out of those. So I need to do a bit of research on that. But that was that variety there called Yellow Intermediate. No idea what it's like as a vegetable to eat. Keep a few aside and we'll give them a go. But those are the ones from Garden Organic from this year, from the Heritage Seed Library. Those are the ones we'll be growing next year. A few of the successes we had last year with the heritage varieties that we grew, and were able to save seed or do something a bit different with. You've seen it on plot tours, was the lettuce Northern Queen. As I said, that's not on offer at the Heritage Seed Library this year, so if we hadn't have kept the seed back from the plants that we'd let go to seed. Wouldn't have been able to grow this, and it was a great lettuce, really tasty. Halfway between a cos and a butterhead. Really interesting variety. Apparently saved from someone who'd had a packet left from a defunct seed merchant in the 50s or 60s from the northeast of England that had been left in their seed box for decades, and they were able to grow the plant from the seed that was saved in that packet. So it's really interesting to see how people manage to keep these varieties going from really random sources like that. But those, we saved so much of that seed. We've got plenty for this year, and we'll hopefully get another set of seed from next year's crop as well if we let some go to seed. So that was a great success. The other one was the Mangel pea variety Freya Heinrich. I thought it was a shelling pea last year, so I accidentally left all the pots on the plant to try and bulk up, and they didn't really bulk up because they're not supposed to. It was a Mangel variety. What that did mean is that we got loads of seed, so I've got plenty of this for this year. And again, I don't think this one's on offer from the Heritage Seed Library this year for new subscribers. So again, I've saved this seed. We've had none of this year, so really interested to grow this. We've got more seed to be able to try eating it as a Mangel variety and keeping some as the plants get to the end of their life back for seed for next year. So again, another great success from this year. And then not one that was from the Heritage Library, but one of the neighbours on the allotment site gave me a beef tomato, sort of huge variety called Black Crimp, and it was pretty ripe when I was given it. I let it go even longer till it's almost couldn't be eaten any longer, but we just managed to get it, and it was absolutely delicious even in that condition. So I saved the seed from the inside of the from the fruits there, and then did the old jam jar, bit of water, let it go a bit mouldy, strain it, and keep the seed after it dried off. So again, I'll be interested to see if we can try some of that next year. So again, just goes to show how easy it is to save the seed. It's not that difficult. Little bit of research. Might try and do a few videos next year to show how easy it is to process the seed after the plants have gone to seed, keep them and dry them and keep them for future growing for next year's. Thanks for watching today. If you've liked the content, then I'd be really grateful if you could press the subscribe button so you can be notified of our next video. Any of your own suggestions in terms of heritage varieties that you're thinking of growing next year, or if you want, if it's going to spur you on to join the Garden Organic Heritage Seed Library, and I'll provide a link in the description below so you can go and join up. So you can join up relatively soon after this video goes out. You should be able to still get plenty of access to the seed in the library, and just tell us if you do in the comments below. We're interested to see what you've got doing. So thanks very much, see you soon, bye.